What's up, AfterBuzzers, and welcome to the Magicians After Show. You know, just doing weird voices because maybe I stayed in the poison room a little too long. No. It's episode 12, Ramifications. We got lots to talk about. Stay tuned.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AfterBuzz TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Oh, you got lights? Yeah.
Second or third musical moment?
I was like, musical, sort of. More like a music video.
It was a montage.
It was amazing. All I need to know is that it happened and it was glorious. And we need to get our hands on magical leaves because we're wrecked here now. And
Right?
I'm just about that life.
Sometimes you gotta see other world.
Do you have to be a magician in order to use it? Or can, like,
You
normies?
have to be a magician, I think.
I think so. Yeah.
I think so.
There might be a tolerance
Not.
issue.
No, actually,
We don't know for sure.
Yeah, we don't know for sure, but
We just
I
know
would
he can
assume.
handle his weed because he has experience.
Yeah, he does.
Oh, of
Yeah.
course. Josh knows how to.
Josh is
Had
gonna
a
be
party.
fine.
All right, what's up? My name is Kari Lane. You can find me online at Kari D Lane. That's KARIDLANE. And I got my awesome panel all
Hey
together.
guys, I'm Joelle Monique. You can find me all over the internet at Joelle Monique and every week at blackgirlnerds.com and tonight in the chat.
Woo!
How are we starting this? My name's Ty Matthews.
Josh's magical week.
Y'all can find me on social media at Ty Matthews PMA.
I'm Adrian Snow. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Miss Adrian Snow.
Awesome. And then, yes, as Joelle said, we are live in the chat, so
we
feel
are.
free to join us, talk about the episode. You guys are all talking a lot, which is great. And then if you're watching this later, though, comment down below on what your thoughts were on the episode, because we love to hear what you think about it as well.
we do.
So, episode 12. And, and even last one, I wasn't here last week, and episode 11 had a lot of fun stuff. So
Oh, yeah.
I'm glad 12 just keeps it going. You're just
Of
like,
course.
oh,
it's
my
ramping
goodness.
up. We only
Right?
got one episode left after this.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, and congratulations that they've been renewed for season 3.
Get it!
So good.
So happy for all of them. That's awesome, and it's very exciting.
It would have been devastating to lose.
Oh,
Like, if they were like,
yeah.
for
No.
some stupid reason, they were like,
Yeah.
no, we're not doing that. Like,
We're good.
what protests would start.
Right. Then so we start off with Mayakovsky, and he points out, no, Niffins can't come back. They all die, pretty much. And but yay for Quentin calling him out of Alice's brother's death. Do we know if he was that aware that that's how that all went down?
Yeah, I'm sure he was.
Okay.
Because he was banished for it. That's why he's in
Well, he was
Breaksville
banished
South.
He's
of the
banished for his
girl.
relationship with Emily. Right,
Yeah.
right.
No, he wasn't banished because of that, because he's had other relationships with other students. He was
Right.
banished
Well, hers
because...
had-
But he said that she was the wrong one, didn't he?
Yeah,
That-
like
he
that
what?
relationship killed. How do you think it happened? Because I thought
I think how it worked is that he was not banished until Alice's brother became a Niffin, and then because then it was blown out, and then the whole school ended up knowing about the relationship.
Right.
Whereas before then, it was just a thing between the two of them, and she wanted to make herself prettier, and then
Yeah.
I see.
Got bigger.
Right.
Or at least brought it to his attention and brought it, I like
Yeah.
that Quentin at least called him out on it.
Yeah.
One of those, like,
Quentin's all
dude.
grown up.
Mhm.
He's all grown up. We were talking about
Oh,
it before we
right?
went on. He's
Yeah.
You should have had a deep V in that final scene, so we could have seen the chest like just puff out and the hair on it like
Yes, that
stand.
V.
Like it was amazing. I was like, look at you're an adult now.
Mhm.
We've seen
Yep.
the full transformation.
Then we get Julia. Oh, when Julia offers her shade, which that was interesting. Okay, that sound effect though.
Oh,
Yeah.
Ugh.
When
So
they're reaching
good.
into
Ah.
Alice's.
so
Yeah.
good.
People with
the
ASMR
Alice-
hated this episode.
I
Huh?
loved it.
People with ASMR hated this episode.
Oh, it was just so like, so good of just
Yeah.
like, see, that was a moment where we've talked about it before, and then when Joshua was a guest of, you don't see it, but like the sound effect and like, it's just below camera. It was enough that we were all like, ugh.
Right.
I wanted
And
to know like how she worked. I know special effects wise, but like in your head canon, how did you picture the girl coming out of her chest? Was it like full of
I
murder?
I was wondering about that.
I figured it was
I
a
felt-
light, and
yes,
then
and
as
then
it comes
out.
out, it
Yeah,
becomes,
you
it
do see.
becomes-
Yeah, you see
Yeah.
a little bit of the light kind of
Yeah.
reflecting on him, and then all of a sudden,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
It's a
throwback to
girl.
last
Full person.
episode.
Fun.
Oh, loved how they did the empty stomach of your
Right.
empty so good. And then we get scary Niffin Alice of yelling. I was like, oh, she must be having so fun
At her
acting
ultimate,
this scene.
yeah.
Like, no, go crazy. Yell as much as you want.
Right.
I was like, she's kind of great, scary.
that hurt my throat just listening to that. Absolutely.
Yeah. And he's like, and then poor Shade Alice is like, don't hurt me.
Right. I'm locked in here with this.
Be like, I don't know you.
Right.
Then Alice was like, her sad question of like, you know, why did you bring me back? And Quentin's just like, well, I couldn't leave you like that. And she's not very happy about it.
No.
Right, but in
You
Quentin's
know?
events, he knew that she'd be pissed.
Yeah.
Not only that, but when he sees alternate timeline Alice a couple of episodes ago,
Oh man,
I feel like, first of all, my whole heart broke. Like,
Yeah.
I
It's
just
self-reflection.
could not.
When he meets Niffin out, I mean when
Test affection.
yeah, when he meets kind of
Yes.
the alternate timeline.
Yes,
Alice.
dude, when he meets the Shade Alice, I
Yeah.
was like,
Oh,
this
God,
is so.
no.
Oh, we talked about
Oh,
that. The
yeah.
look on his
Oh,
face, how he
man.
went through like 5 different
Yes.
emotions in like 2 seconds.
And he realized, like, it takes him a second to realize who it is, and he's like,
Yeah.
oh my god,
Ugh.
this is her, and then no.
And then talking. It's
No,
just
it's precious. And
so
I feel like
cute.
in that moment, he, like, there's no way you're not going to bring her back
Oh,
after
yeah.
that. Which he
Yeah.
was like, I just want to apologize. I was like, oh, God, they're so meant to be together. Get
Yes.
it together.
Yes. Question from the chat. Renji says, if you had a book that contained your whole life from beginning to end, would you read it?
Nope.
Oh God, no! Absolutely not. No way. Are you kidding?
Um,
I knew you. I knew that would be the answer.
She says, maybe.
I might take a gander.
I'd be curious, though, if it would only
Not
tell
all
it.
the way through, but just like, you know, maybe
Certain
for the
Yeah.
next 2
chapters.
years.
I'd be curious to see
Oh.
how the early parts of my life were written. You know,
Yes.
like stuff I'd
Mm,
already
that too.
Oh,
had.
that's good.
I'd be
that's
like,
really
what?
good.
How does somebody else perceiving this, or how does that translate? Like, do I get different perspectives? But the future
Yes.
That's
stuff, no, I
very
can't mess with
interesting.
that.
That's
Right.
exactly what I was wondering, because I'm like, are they telling it from your perspective or a third party?
I feel like it's got to be
Because-
third person.
But
Third
wouldn't
person
that be
omniscient.
interesting to know how other people were, that they could give
Yeah.
you that perspective that you didn't know? Like, you said something to somebody, they maybe said something that you didn't hear, and it meant something so much more, but you didn't hear it.
Or
So
the
then
wording
it's
is
like,
printed differently than you remember it in your head.
Yes.
I feel like
Right.
the problem would be,
Yep.
though, is that I would start reading it and then I wouldn't be able to put it down. I'd
Oh,
be
that
like,
would
Right,
this is
instant
fascinating.
snowball effect. Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
We get the poison room, and they're trying to look for the fountain to do the backdoor entrance, which that was a creative way, because I'm like,
Sure.
that's a
Yeah.
good way to go about it. I was like,
It's a
break through the
world.
walls.
And it makes sense with her being kind of the mezzo soprano of this whole thing. It makes sense that she's basically doing the magical equivalent
Yeah.
of lockpicking.
Yeah.
I
Is
wish
that
there was
something that Meadow Soprano did?
No, but no. To be fair, I've never seen The Sopranos.
Me neither.
But
I've seen a little bit, but I don't remember enough.
I
so.
just
on,
mean
guys, what?
the daughter
We
of.
didn't have
see it?
HBO during that decade.
The
so-
Sopranos,
Right?
yeah, absolutely.
I watched it on CDs or DVDs when I worked at like Blockbuster.
There you
That's
go,
how
there you
I
go.
watch it. Hollywood Video.
What I mean is like the daughter of
Yeah,
what's
a mobster,
ostensibly
yeah.
a
Yeah.
mob boss would
Yes,
know
yes.
those sorts of things.
Yes. Then we get Elliot and Quentin, and he points out Elliot's like, I've been banished, which it's almost like, yay, you're back in the world, but then he's kind of like, I actually want to go back.
I've got
Yeah.
a kid on the way in
Got
that world.
business.
Aged.
I just
Yeah.
like kid, but like
Wife
he's
and
really
baby.
done a lot to like try to rule this kingdom and
Yeah.
make it better.
He stepped up.
When
I
he
love
starts
how he was
listing-
like, my Pinot Noir grapes.
Yeah.
Yeah, when he starts listing off his accomplishments,
Oh.
I'm like, you're finally gonna nail wine.
Yes.
Like, this
Can
is
we
amazing.
please talk about the strong bad reference?
The what?
Trogdor. How he
Yes,
got Trogdor.
yes, I was like, early internet me is so happy in this
was
moment.
So
What was
pumped.
it? Go
He's
ahead.
like, you traded our one way out of Fillory to Trogdor, and if you guys, Trogdor is an old internet meme.
Homestar
He's the
Runner.
green dragon with the big arms.
I don't know.
Trogdor.
Man.
No, okay.
We'll
Just
show you-
you and me
Adrian,
have
we'll show
those
you
like deep moments.
After we go off air,
Show
we'll,
it to us.
we'll show you
Yeah.
Homestar
Okay.
Runner.
There are a lot of
It's
memes I have not
amazing.
seen.
But kind of rewind a little bit question, though. Cynthia in the chat says, yeah, but if you read your future, wouldn't that change your future?
Yeah, I'm fine with that too.
I
Butterfly
mean,
effect.
not necessarily. Maybe
Yeah.
maybe it was in the book
I mean,
that
it's
you read
weird
the book.
that you can because
Something-
Penny was supposed to die, according to what's her face's
The
book.
book
Yeah.
was
Sylvia,
reshelved
right.
39 times.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, it could be something where it depends on your ideas of paradoxes.
Mhm.
Right.
If I read my future, am I cementing that future? Even if I try to change it, do I
Yeah.
pull on
Right.
Flash? But I automatically end up like course
I was
correcting.
gonna say,
back
go
into
way
that
back.
future.
It's Macbethian.
Well, it's like
Yeah.
or like time travel paradoxes,
Yeah.
like in
Yeah.
Back to the Future or
Yep.
Terminator 2. Or,
Mhm.
there's all sorts of paradoxes that make my head hurt.
Yep. And then Elliot finds out Alice is back, but Quentin's banned from seeing her for 24 hours because
Oh,
he
man.
just
48.
48. Thank
Right,
you.
right.
Even more.
I feel like Chris, he's such a whiny baby sometimes. Like I did just say how much Clinton
He's
has
a
grown to be a
devoted
man.
puppy dog.
Like, but look, like this is like a traumatic experience. Essentially,
Yeah.
you just resurrected someone.
Right.
Except that she was conscious and getting pretty much what she's always
That's
strived for, which is like all
kind of-
knowledge on the world. So she needs like 48 hours is like a very. I'd be
Yeah.
like maybe like
Sure.
give it a
Yeah.
week,
Maybe,
bro.
yeah, exactly.
I feel like that is kind of like you could do a Buffy callback with that, where
Yes.
when they pull Buffy,
She
if
was
you
not
haven't seen
happy.
Buffy by now,
Oh yeah,
you
she
should
was
be quiet.
very upset about
It's
it.
on Netflix, guys.
Or
Go
not be
watch
quiet,
it.
but like don't listen.
So
But like yeah, when they resurrect her from hell, and she's like, actually, I was not in hell, I was in heaven, and I was happy.
Ooh, Cynthia
Yeah.
Manic brings up a good question. She says, "How long has Elliot been in Fillory? There's a huge time difference.
Yeah.
So he's been there longer than the rest of the crew."
true.
Good
Well,
point.
we calculated it was what
A month, a day in
But we
Fillory
don't know
equals
how
a month
many
on Earth.
days
Right?
Yeah.
he's actually had, because even though what we see is one thing, they could have more. And then Adrian, you'd appreciate this. Dorothy in the chat says, as River Song says, spoilers.
I'm
As
totally
in,
okay with
don't
that.
read your yes.
I
exactly.
would read. Listen,
Yeah.
I would
Yep.
be the doctor grabbing that journal, being like, "Let me just flip it here."
Yeah. Somebody else
Ooh.
said, yeah. Remember the doctor? Yeah.
Don't go
Also-
to the Durley.
Have y'all noticed how many people are rocking the Trinity knot in their ties?
I love it.
I love that so much.
Are you gonna wear that? You
Dean
could do
Fogg?
it.
Maybe.
Last
I might.
episode,
I might do that next
finale,
week,
do
actually.
it.
Now that
I think I've
about it.
seen
I
that
love
though.
it.
Like it was circulating on the internet as a thing to do,
Yeah.
and I'm like, it's a cool way for them to incorporate something so simple, but it changes up the world
Exactly,
a little
because we've seen Dean Fogg
Yes.
wear kind of interesting knots before
Yep.
in his ties. But yeah, Elliot was rocking the Trinity. Trinity knot.
That grown man tie. What?
I love it.
bit. And then we get Josh in charge. Unfortunately,
No,
in Philly.
fortunately, don't
Unfortunately.
you deny Josh's Hakuna Matata style like leadership. And I feel like
Oh, that
really
was
is
funny.
what Fillory needs right now. Like Fillory's been through a lot. You need
Yeah.
a good time, Josh, right now.
Hi,
to just
hi
hang
King
out.
Josh. Am I
Yes.
right?
Hi, King.
No.
Yeah.
Hey.
You've not seen any of these subjects.
See,
These
Oh,
relax.
actually,
Just
song we
relax.
could have done Hakuna Matata.
Oh, that's
Duh.
right. That's right. That's right.
That
You
was
gotta
so
give
good.
Migos some
I
love.
just love watching
Night.
Tick Pickwick like Hakuna Matata.
Ooh.
Oh, it's so fun seeing
Yeah.
her.
Tick and
Yes,
Rafe.
yes.
The Tick and Rafe have become two of my absolute favorite
Yes.
characters for sure.
Absolutely.
And shout out to our first episode is that when they joined us.
Yes,
which
Yeah.
was
Sergio
so
Rivers
fun.
one. Yep.
And it is one of those like they're like our stuff is later, and it's like yes, so good. As
It got
keeps
so
going.
good.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And then we kind of get the part music video, and I know you were excited. I actually wrote WTF. I'm like, what is going on?
It's awesome.
But I'm not surprised if it's Josh and
Yeah.
like what we've built up with him. But it was, and
It's bonding.
yeah,
Bonding with
It
a
was
king
fun.
and his new subject. It
Yes.
reminded me of the hip hop montage from Office Space.
Mm-hmm.
They're
They
like,
bring up the
Yes.
printer.
Absolutely.
I thought it was a nice way to slowly recap like what kind of king Josh would be.
yeah,
Yeah.
Oh, of
Like,
course.
It was a nice fast way
Yes.
of just being like, and this is what you get.
Contact high, that
Those,
too.
those beavers are gonna
Yeah.
get braces.
Damn it,
And
they
I like
deserve
that
it.
he just destroyed the thrones because
Right.
that's why I
Yes.
was like, thank you.
They
Why
just
was
were
that
pointing
done
that
already?
out.
Right?
There
Who
was
would've
nothing
thought?
stopping anyone from just taking an axe to it other than like the staunch belief in like tradition.
Mhm.
And I like that Josh kind of shook. Like I hope they keep him around, like royal advisor or something.
Yeah.
Right?
You need a little Josh.
Then we get Julia and Katie, and when Julia comes to Katie, and Katie's like, dude, WTF, what do you want? But Julia points out, I trust you and I need you. You're going to be my missing chip.
Yeah.
Explain, let me know when I need to tap on the brakes. She's like, okay, slam on the brakes.
Right.
Another example of excellent writing. Because it's one of
Yes.
those like, you go, all right, yeah.
They're best bitches.
A little bit later, Umber
yeah.
mentions like how Fillory exists because of opposites.
Yes.
And I like this idea that we kind of get our most opposite friendships in this episode.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Particularly with these two.
Yes.
Both needing each other in this moment, but for very different reasons.
Yeah.
Like
Right.
one needs to hold the other back, the other one needs to push the other forward. So
Yeah.
I really like where their storyline is headed.
Oh, it's very interesting. Speaking of Julie a little bit, and a couple people in the chat, thank you for mentioning this. And sorry if I say it wrong. It's Illyria. I think it's Illyria. She's on Angel, and she's a character who's on Buffy, but later on Angel, who, spoilers, guys, it's been out for a very long time. But anyways, gets taken over essentially by an alien thing, and so she's not really her anymore, similar to Nif and Alice. And actually Julia, because it's like you're you, but not really you anymore, and people look at you, but it's like, not really.
Right.
Then we get John, and he reveals about the Lady Underground, that Renard is just like a whiny little child and heartbroken. But there's a little more of that twist later, which who was thinking it was relationship?
Oh,
Like,
of course. I was like,
Oh,
they're
absolutely.
lovers.
I
Okay.
think that's
jilted.
definitely like by design for sure.
that was.
Yeah, it's structured for you to think that.
Right.
I was gonna say, you're so perceptive. Did you think that?
I know.
You're so good. I'm like,
We were talking a lot about that last week. You see things coming.
Well, with this one, I just didn't really. think too much about it. I assume they had some relationship. I didn't think the one they had was it, but
Right.
Sure.
I also know the story of Persephone, so I didn't necessarily think it was going to be entirely romantic. Like maybe he was fond of her and she didn't return it. That's something I
Sure.
thought. Yeah.
Well, we learned that Lady Underground is Persephone, so that was kind of cool to put
So
those pieces
dope.
together.
I like that we got an actual god. I thought for sure they would create one. I thought for sure it was going to be like an original creation, and for it to be Persephone. And
Well,
you
and
have all
yeah,
this-
we talked a lot about that in last week's episode with the underworld and how kind of a lot of it is gods culled from actual mythology and
Right.
Hades and Persephone and things like that.
It's there's
Purgatory and all.
actually a weird thing it reminded me of. There's two things. One, there's a book series called Everworld, way throwback. People who read
This one's really
Animorphs. It was a spin-off series.
Whoa.
Yeah. So there's Everworld, and it was a world where all the gods went because people forgot about them. And then there's this awesome play I did in college called God's Bar, where all the gods went and hung out because nobody believed in them anymore. So it's like the gods in a different space because we don't believe in them, but they're still
Yeah.
around.
They're
Sure.
still there, yeah.
I like
Yeah.
this stuff because structurally it makes great setups for other jokes. Because obviously
Yeah.
now as we're watching, we're like looking for things like when they were like the Tesla thing, and I was like, Tesla was a magician, of course. They're like, no, it's not
Fred
Tesla. I was like,
Flexion. Love that joke.
it killed me a little
Straight
inside.
up Jungle Cruise joke.
It was awesome.
Matthew in the chat says, if we get Persephone, will we get Hades?
It's a possibility.
Good question,
Maybe. Could
right?
be.
Please,
Could be.
I would love to see
And
the show's
then-
interpretation of Hades.
Well, Cynthia
Right.
goes, oh, who can play Hades?
Mm.
That'd be a good question.
Mm.
Then we get Elliot and Quentin again when they're like talking about they're like, wait, first portal, there's a riddle, like what is that? And they figure out, oh wait, it's the clock from the first book, and we're all like, hey, throwback episode 1, that's
Yeah,
a
let's-
flashback moment, because we all go, oh yeah, that thing.
Because they do a really good job of that with the show, of like
Yes.
bringing everything back to season 1.
And then, oh, that's cool. A little bit going ahead, but I want to say it's, I'm not really sure how you pronounce it, but Il Chabon 72. I think it was cool that the fairy realm seems to be a parallel dimension occupying the same space as Fairly, only it's in another plane.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of what they're conveying.
Interesting.
Because when they see them, they're in the same space,
Sure.
but they're not like,
I
I
never
always
thought
thought
about
that was
That's
kind
true.
of the way fairies work. If you look at like Midsummer Night's Dream, like
right.
they're just kind of running into a dark forest, and then all of a sudden there are fairies. I like this kind of like
They're in
overlay.
the 4th dimension.
Yeah, they
Ah.
They're 4-dimensional beings.
There you go.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm a big old nerd. I love that crap.
And then we got Margot and Josh real briefly. That she wants a way back after finding Fen. She's going to take the fairy potion too. She goes, and that was interesting. Would you guys take the fairy potion and go after? I mean,
If I was Margot, yes.
Yeah.
If I was anybody else, no.
If I had seen those fairies, I don't know, man. Those things are intimidating.
Yeah.
I don't know if I
Margot's
know.
super responsible, and also
that sure
Elliot
is.
will never forgive her.
right?
Like
yeah.
her best friend, like her only real like source of love and support that we've seen, will never forgive her if anything bad happens
Yeah.
to Finn.
Yeah.
So I feel like she has to go. But if I was anybody else, sorry,
Right.
that's really awful for
Yeah.
you.
That's just what, but not. That's Josh's, like, it's due for him to do that since he abandoned them, like, the
Right.
first.
Yeah.
Right. He
The first
kind of,
time.
yeah, he had.
Yeah.
Well, it plays into his Hakuna
So-
Matata theme as well.
Yeah.
Like, I don't
do
have
it.
time to worry about it. Like, I know I can at least
Yeah.
get there, and maybe I can help them figure out a solution.
Yeah.
Then we get back to Penny and Sylvia, and she's like, yeah, we mentioned cracking the lock. She mentions that all these books have blank spots. The last 20 pages are blank.
She's reading Kanye's
Yeah, they are.
book.
Woo!
Very
And
misunderstood.
he's very
misunderstood.
Very
misunderstood.
misunderstood.
No, yeah, and that.
And it's going to happen in a few weeks, too.
Yeah.
Mm.
So next
Ticking
week.
clock.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yep. The
Did
great
anybody
white
have any
spot.
predictions on what that means?
Let's wait for predictions.
Yeah. Right.
All
We'll
right.
get there.
So
We'll
then
get
hold
there.
on to it.
Yeah.
And then I like her Sarah Connor reference, no fate but what we make.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I love me a good Terminator reference. I
Yes.
also really enjoyed just like so far the aesthetics and the production design of the show has been awesome, but especially the Poison Room
Yeah,
had a
this-
very Silent Hill vibe to
God.
me,
Oh,
that's
with
such a
like
good
the falling
reference.
ash and
So
everything.
good.
Totally.
that
Very,
movie.
very unsettling.
I don't think I thought of it when I watched it, but you say that, I'm like, yes.
Oh,
Excellent
yeah.
movie, too, if you guys have never seen Silent Hill.
Anytime I see like the falling ash.
Oh,
it's
anytime
like,
I see fog, I'm like, we're driving into Silent Hill.
No.
right. That game. Oh my God, Pyramid Head. Is
No, stop talking about it.
You like the
Horrific.
movie, though, yes?
Huh?
You like the movie though too. Yes?
Oh, I love
okay.
the movie.
I
Yeah,
haven't played the
definitely.
game, so.
But the games were
Yeah.
absolutely terrifying.
It's okay.
I'll never watch the
Great
movie
movie.
again. It was terrifying.
But what
to me.
is the girl's name Sylvia? Or,
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Her like 3 little episode arc has been maybe one of my favorite things about this season so far.
Sure.
She is an amazing character.
Mhm.
I want more adventures with her, even though it's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
now.
That was
Right.
my biggest frustration because I had watched ahead last episode, and
Yeah.
I remember he was talking about. He's like, "I'm so excited to see like more of Sylvia and
Yeah.
more of Christopher Gorham's character."
Man.
Yeah.
And
You're sitting there.
I was like, "Yeah,
Mhm.
no,
About
they're
them.
vastly underused."
Yeah.
So it kind of sucked to see them both go, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
maybe they'll come back. You know,
Especially to
Sometimes they come back.
see Senator Gaines go off camera as well.
Yeah.
That bummed me out.
Well, did we actually see her die?
Oh, Senator Gaines.
Senator Gaines.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I meant
yeah.
Sylvia. He just leaves.
Nobody,
no
I was
proof.
wondering. I was wondering about that.
Just saying. Then we have,
Never mind. I'll
What?
say that for predictions.
real quick, we have John Renard. The wife is killed, which this is the
Oh,
biggest
that
piece
ear.
of her.
No way to find out.
man.
Where is
Yeah.
she? Here and there. I was like, no, Reynard, no.
And just the subtlety of him saying, "I saved you the biggest piece."
Yes.
Yeah.
That it says so much in just that phrase.
Oh, I can't.
Yep.
Reynard.
Quentin Elliott, Fillory. Oh, the Fillory fan. First, I was like, "Oh, it's a huge fan of Fillory," and love.
I love that line when Elliot walks in.
Holy
oh
shit,
my
there's
god,
two of
there's
you.
2 of you.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Oh, that's so good.
Wonderful.
This whole kind of scene really
Oh.
made this episode for me.
Yeah, they're like, he knows. Deep.
Right.
Wait, dude, he has horns. Boof,
Well,
reveal.
and actually before that, the failed movie adaptation of Fillory,
Yes.
where they turned the Chatwins into skateboarding Americans.
Yeah.
And the
Because,
director
you know.
walked off from Talking Bears,
Right.
which I would really, if any of you know what that's a reference to, someone walked off a set for an equally ridiculous reason, and I don't remember what it was. Like, stopped a movie. Like, hearing this line, I was like, I know this story, but I can't
You
quite
walked
remember
off for
it.
Talking Bears?
Well,
Yeah,
because
they wanted Talking Bears.
because
and they said
he
no.
wanted Talking Bears, and they wouldn't
Yeah.
include them. I think.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Someone in the
There's
chat
no-
earlier is pointing out they thought the actor playing Umber was cute.
He's a very
Yes.
good-looking
He's a
guy.
good-looking,
very handsome
very
guy.
tall.
Absolutely.
And then, surprise, it's Umber, which we finally realize he just faked his death because Martin. Which
Right.
makes sense.
Well, he apparently had some type of negotiation with Martin. It wasn't just like
Yeah.
he ran off and faked his death. He had a discussion with Martin
Yeah.
and agreed to
Or was
leave.
threatened by Martin. He
Yes.
was like, he had
Well,
me up against
just-
the wall.
It was
He's
a
gonna tear me to
negotiation by
shreds.
force.
Just the way he phrased it,
Yeah.
it sounded like there
Yeah.
was a talk between the two of
There's
them.
certainly
Right.
an
Sure.
agreement was reached of like, you leave forever. This is now my
Yeah.
world.
Yeah.
Well, apparently Canada is second choice to Fillory.
Of course it
Makes
is.
sense. Makes sense.
It's
Vancouver.
so good.
Makes,
the Magician's Crew
honestly,
knows a lot about Vancouver.
total sense in this current
Yeah.
political climate.
And
Yeah.
the new world of Cuba.
Oh man, that was such a
Right.
good moment.
It's like,
I'm calling it
Yay!
That place already exists.
Um,
Are you sure?
Cuba. Sure, absolutely sure.
Yeah.
yes.
And then the point of you were never meant to fix Fillory.
Yes.
Oh, you're just sitting there like, come on, Elliot's like, but
And
I've
he's
been
just
trying
like a
so
reality
hard.
show star.
Did
Yeah.
anyone else
Which-
have a paused
yeah.
moment where they were like, so, but we could go to this new world? Like, is there a
To
wellspring in there? Well, like, look, if there's a
to
wellspring
get it?
in there and there's still
Oh.
magic, and like
Interesting.
Fillory's already on its way out, like, can we maybe just transport some of the people, like, do a Noah's
Right.
Ark style
Well, if
thing?
it's only built by Umber, it's probably not going to be as intriguing as
And the
Fillory.
fact that it's a pocket world, and I don't know like scale wise how that compares
Yeah.
to the quote unquote size of Fillory.
I mean, if
We
you're
don't-
just jumping through portals, I
So
assume
many
you
questions.
can just like adjust in size.
Yeah.
And also, Umber does not seem that hard to negotiate with.
Well, I
Right.
just think when he brought up that whole point of like he is the law and order and Amber is the chaos,
Yes.
that you kind of need both.
You like the Law and
Oh, we
Order in
should've
the
kept it
background
on.
on the
I did.
TV?
we should have
so
kept that on the Law
much.
and Order theme.
When that was in the background, I was like, they're gonna do something with that. They have to like.
And it
it's
was
just
there
not
for a
randomly there.
long
Yeah.
time.
Well, it was paused.
I know,
He
but
had guests.
they set that shot up to be like person, TV, other person. It's like,
Right.
come on.
Other Viacom owned
Yeah.
property.
But go Q for totally scolding him and giving him another one over. You're like, yes,
Sure.
Q,
Yeah,
you're
thank
on
you.
a roll today.
It was awesome.
Then we have Julie and Katie doing the lightning storm to trick Renard. So they were like, let's trick a trickster. But then, I mean, this is kind of, we've gone ahead and a little behind. But yeah, is John's comment of like, are we truly broken? And, you know, he's like, don't let Renard win in that
Right.
way.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Yeah.
aww.
The moment you knew he was gonna die.
Right? Yes.
That was the second
When
I
he
was like,
turned
well,
to her and he
he's
was like,
done.
"You should go get some pizza," I was like, "Wait,
Wait a minute.
Why? Where? I'm glad he spared her that though. 'Cause,
Yes.
like without her shade, I think she's like maybe the more obvious choice of like,
Yeah.
well, she doesn't feel,
Right,
and she
right.
has the most logical conclusion, but she didn't need that on her conscience.
Mhm.
I love how they set up those shots of like super close face of like the power of suggestion. It was a
Right.
nice way to
Well,
convey
and,
it.
yeah,
without...
there's something else in his pupils that you see when he
Oh, I don't
starts.
think I noticed.
It's
oh,
a
I was
little bit.
watching-
It's almost like there's like a little kind of triangular light inside his eyes and the person and the eyes of the person that he's talking to.
Nice.
You
then
sure
we
it's just not the lighting?
Could be.
Greg?
I mean, like
no, I
it's
think it's purposeful
purpose-
lighting.
it's
for
specific
that.
to
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Then we have Alice with Mayakovsky again, and then how she keeps pointing out she doesn't have time because she understands everything, but it's fading,
Yeah.
and she's very upset about being in the human body. But he makes an excellent point, which we all can apply to our own lives, that, you know, pain and suffering just makes you focused, and drugs are fun.
Right.
Yes.
Adderall make you write like
Two
Tolstoy.
things we can all agree on. I'm so glad they're together now. I feel like Mayakovsky's gonna do it really well with Alice, like with
Yeah.
something to put his energy into. Don't put your dick in it though, Mayakovsky.
No.
Keep it in your pants.
Oh.
No one's asked for this.
That's not a joke.
Did I break
Yeah.
you?
Real talk.
Do not screw
Stay
another
away from
student.
Steve.
Alice.
Yeah.
Oh
was
god,
amazing.
Stay away from
I'm
her.
so worried.
But
they're gonna stay
Alice,
together.
it was where like cheesy,
No, Mayakovsky wouldn't do that. I don't think. I think he's
cheesy
learned.
thing. Did you guys ever see Baby Geniuses?
Yes.
That was the thing of, as in the
Weird.
concept of that one, babies have the knowledge of the universe, but as they grow up, they lose it. So it made me think of Alice. Yeah.
Spoilers
Anyway.
for Baby Geniuses.
Well, no, it's in the beginning. They tell you at the beginning of the movie. Anyway, then we jump over to one other quick thing with Penny of when he's in there too, of touching the book and like the.
Yeah, well, the
Ugh.
entire room's made of
Yes.
poison.
Right. It's a very literal.
Yeah,
So-
it's a very literal thing.
I'm glad they
and that's,
asked the
I knew
question
that was
early
going to be
on.
the case.
Right.
Yeah, I'm glad they didn't like bury the lead with that. I'm glad he was like, "How literal do you think that is?" But then I was like,
You know.
like,
It's
can
a
I
poison
get
room.
like this is when we really need Alice? Like, no one wants to have like a bubble of protection, like
Yeah.
nothing.
Right.
No, okay.
Well, he can't do magic,
I know,
but
she
even
can't.
they can't get a hazmat suit? Come on.
right?
I feel like there are options.
Dude,
Haven't you
there's
seen
so
Stranger
many
Things?
sci-fi movie things I see, and I'm like, why are people not wearing a hazmat suit of some kind? The new Aliens trailer.
Right.
Drives
right,
me
right,
nuts.
right.
Know by now?
But do we think anything? I mean, maybe hold it for predictions. But a couple people are pointing out in the chat, like maybe there's more of Sylvia. Who is her father? Because it was such a
I've
We've
opening.
heard so much about it.
Her.
Whole-
I was hanging out with somebody who kept using the phrase humdinger, but I think her father is going to be. I haven't looked ahead, but I
Right.
think her father's going to be like a really big,
important something.
important aspect.
I bet he
of
comes
her
up right at
so,
the
life.
end of
too.
the season,
Yeah.
and then next
Yeah.
season maybe he's our like antagonist.
Oh, sure.
Maybe
sure.
he's Martin.
I was wondering about that.
That'd be crazy.
Ooh, okay.
What? If Martin shot your children? Sorry. Wow.
Well, somebody brought up, speaking of the transfer the energy out of the bullet that they made, because someone said, what can they do with the energy that John sacrificed? They're like, they already put it in a bullet, but it's impossible to transfer the bullet. Can they take out, use it for something else? A lot of people are like, no.
Could they smelt it down and
Somebody goes, anything it's possible is true.
Well, that's your silver bullet now. Just leave it where it is. Like keep it in.
I
in
think
the chamber.
you don't load a gun. It's the Chekhov thing. You don't load a
Right.
gun and not use it. So I'm
Right.
sure that's going to come up
Someone's
next
getting it.
episode.
I mean,
Yeah.
you have to do battles with fairies and try to rip
Yes.
through like time portals and
Uh,
things.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
the fairy king could probably use a bullet to the head. Like
So-
if you're gonna get out of
Yeah,
there alive.
that's true.
You were so surprised. I love seeing your reaction when the lady underground showed up.
Oh my god, guys! I almost
You're like,
cried.
flip the table.
It was amazing. It was like such a beautiful moment because like they were asking for her before,
Right.
They didn't need her, and like they needed like Julia specifically needed her in this moment, and she
Yeah.
showed up where she was needed, and I thought that was a really beautiful moment. And then 1,000 twists happened in a moment. A
Yes.
bajillion heart attacks when we find out that she's his mother. I was like, oh
Right?
my god.
Yep. But then I was like, dude, Julia, take the effing shot already. I hate that where someone stands there. I'm going to talk to you. Hold the gun. No. It's like bad guy montage. I mean, bad guy
No, come on,
monologue.
this is what
You
Julia
take
has
it.
been fighting her whole like this whole time. Like since Julia has been like, look, I can be a good person without my shade. Like this is not going to be the thing that destroys me. And now she gets a chance to make a decision.
Yeah, it doesn't. Well, she got her shape.
Well, and it's like what our
Temporarily. It wasn't permanent, yes?
No, yeah, her
well,
shape
and
came back.
after all of this.
Oh,
After all
after.
that.
But it
After all
was
this,
one of
yeah.
those, you have to make the ultimate sacrifice and then you get rewarded.
Right,
Kind
because
of situation.
it's like Our Lady Underground said, like don't let what happened to you turn you into this
Yes,
monster, you know?
Still capable of mercy.
Right.
Yes.
And that's what we had talked a lot about exactly what the shade means and
Yes.
what losing it means and the
Yeah.
fact that she doesn't necessarily have to be like the beast, you know?
Yeah.
She can kind of be guided and still do good.
Yeah. Well, and then someone was pointing out,
should've shot
Christian
him.
said, what?
I said she should have shot him, but
I think so too.
whatever.
The gods
get
are
why
pretty
she-
good at punishing, though. I mean, I'd have follow-up questions like, how are you going to discipline your
Can
Yes.
I be there?
Sure.
Right?
Sure, sure,
Right?
sure.
Can
Yeah,
I get a
can I
front row
watch?
seat? Like when
Yeah.
they electrocute like
Yeah.
people to death. I have questions. But I do think she made the right decision for her
Yeah.
path going forward.
Yeah.
It would have been satisfying to see him dead.
Sure.
Yes.
Someone just had a pretty interesting prediction thing. I'll try to hold that because I'm like,
Hold on to
oh,
it.
You're so itching
Hold
to
on
get
to
to
it.
predictions.
We'll get
Kari.
there.
apparently.
We'll get that
no, we're not
theremin.
there yet. Almost. But somebody said some good stuff. I think referring to Julia, somebody said she's human, just pissed and traumatized. Actually, maybe that's more Alice, but both. Actually, Alice and Julia right now.
Yeah.
Really,
Um,
everyone.
Then we get Julia's shade comes back. Yay. We don't know exactly though how you like reacquire. Like, does
It
it just
just-
you
yeah.
hug and you blend?
I think
Yeah,
they
it
Well,
is
there
just
was some
seem like the
powerful
light-
magic
Yeah.
happening
Yeah.
for
Sure.
Alice. Like
Yeah.
there was black powder and white smoke.
Well, that-
but
'cause
that
she
was a
was a
shade.
Niffin.
That was a shade and a Niffin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
a shade
fair.
and a human
Because
is
Juliet held Alice's shade to get them back up. So.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
probably just turned her back into a light form and stuff
They
her
do-
back
they
in her
do the
heart.
fusion dance.
That makes sense.
Then we get Q and Alice, and he's like, "The world is a better place with you in it." Like, aw, that's towards the end of the episode. And the last kind of thing too is we have Elliot and Quentin talking about like what their plan is, and Quentin's like, "So you're planning to conquer Fillory?" And Elliot's like, "Well, you have a better idea."
Gotta overthrow it.
Elliot the Conqueror
yes.
has a nice ring
Absolutely.
to it. That's all I'm saying.
But it's so interesting. That's Quentin points out that is basically what the Beast was doing.
Yeah.
He's conquering Fillory for its own
Yes.
good.
Yes, but actually, we didn't really talk about, but it was a brief thing. I liked when they were going to do the election to get officials, because then that would
Yeah.
make the people feel
Well,
involved.
we had a lot of thoughts about like the fact that Elliot gets banished the second that Josh invents democracy.
Yeah.
And like I think I had read a lot into that. Like
Okay.
maybe that was Elliot's purpose when
I mean,
when Umber was
democracy
talking
is
about-
definitely more chaotic than like a stable king like
Well,
Elliot.
Sure.
And since we only have Ember there, it
Yeah.
makes sense that Ember would be like, "Great,
right.
we'll let these like." We've learned so far that they're not very educated. They haven't asked a lot of questions
Yeah.
beyond what magic is capable of giving them because they didn't know how to grow any kind of food outside of magic. So now you have like an uneducated populace voting. I'm interested to see how their votes turn out and what kind of people they want to rule them.
Well,
Yeah.
maybe it'd be like England, where you could have like, it's democracy, but then you still have a king.
It may
idea.
even turn out to be something where, well, maybe this is kind of. I feel like what we're starting to notice is that maybe Martin, when he was controlling Fillory, even though he was drinking from the wellspring because he became like addicted to the power, maybe he wasn't the person really damaging
Maybe.
Fillory. Maybe it had more to do with Ember because he
Okay.
also did like take a massive shit
Shit,
in
the
the wellspring.
Wellspring, man.
All right, let's do some predictions.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to read this one because I was like,
And now, your AfterBuzz TV
oh no, I'll let it go.
predictions.
There we go.
Okay. Dragon artist. Yes.
You got Joe Khan. I love you, Steve.
Dragon artist Tom says season finale prediction. Elliot fires the god-killing bullet through Ember's face to stop him from smashing Fillory.
That would be.
Ooh.
I was like, oh my
Damn,
gosh.
you might have nailed it in one, my man.
I mean, look,
Woo!
they could kill Ember, but I feel like. I mean, the show's really great at putting us in impossible situations. Be like, how do they get out of this? So
Sure.
that would definitely be what that situation would entail. But I think it'd be much wiser for them to try to make a deal with Ember because if you need that balance, if the world exists based on dichotomies, and when now, especially knowing how big consequences are. Oh my God, they're gonna shoot Ember. Okay, well,
Well,
because now we know there are
'cause that's what I
consequences
was
for
wondering.
killing a god.
Yeah.
What would they have that Ember would want that they
Yeah.
could negotiate with?
Oh man,
Nothing.
we can bring Umber back.
I
Two
think,
buddies ruling together.
Ember's weird goat eyes.
Yeah.
on our mindset of killing Renard too, Renji says Renard was nothing more than a whiny child trying to get his mother's attention. I do not pity him. I'm like, yeah, no, I was
Yeah,
really like,
yeah.
Well,
that
no,
works.
there's no pity for him.
Yeah.
Some Ilchbon says 72. Killing Ember could have consequences for Fillory, though. Doesn't Fillory need both Ember and Ember to balance
That's
it?
what I'm saying.
Let's just
That's
go into
true.
Yeah.
predictions.
No, we're in
We're
it.
there.
You're ready. Go
We're
for
there.
it.
Yeah.
I think that we've been introduced to so many gods at this point, and everyone has a vendetta against a particular god, that
Right.
it might come down to the point of them like attempting to get rid of all of the gods.
Oh boy.
And so if that's what would that happen? What would that mean for Fillory? What that would mean for Earth? What would that mean for the entire universe? And so I kind of think that that's where they're going to go in that direction, more so than just targeting Ember, Umber.
Sure.
It's going to be, especially when they have this one gun that can kill a god, that's probably going to be a battle between
One
all
bullet.
of them. Yeah,
Right,
one bullet.
right.
Exactly. But yeah.
I'm curious to see what will happen to Penny. I'm really a predictions. I'm just curious about certain things. Penny broke major rules in like your first day on the job, essentially. Maybe your first like 3, maybe a full week.
Sure.
So I'm curious to see what the ramifications are for breaking laws within the order and how they
Right.
handle disobedience. They're willing to die at random, or they're willing to kill at random. I'm also curious to see what happens with Katie. She's so upset right now. She's had to murder somebody.
Yeah.
Penny could potentially never come back from the order. Like, that kind of messed up.
No, he did come back. He fell
Well,
down
he's
in front of her.
bouncing back and forth, but now that he's kind
yeah.
of done this thing and got the book and
But
then
they've
he
had their
collapsed.
Intersection.
Well, no, he's back at Fillory,
I know,
and
but
he's like in.
If he gets
hospice
stuck back at the
or
library,
the hospice
you know,
hospital.
they still have some.
It'll be interesting to see. I'm not quite sure. I don't know
Yeah.
where her story goes. Like, Katie has been sort of supporting everybody along the
Yep.
way, and so now I'm curious to see what happens for Katie now.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right. I think by the end of the next episode and the season, I think the last thing we'll see is whoever Sylvia's father is. I think
yep.
that might be kind of the oh shit moment that we go out on.
Yeah, I think they've built it up too much not to say something. Like, this show doesn't just like have a little mention, it goes away.
Right.
Especially when they kept bringing it up
If
so many
Josh
times.
and Todd can come back as often
Right.
as they have,
Yeah, Christian P says, since Penny brought Katie's book back, maybe she'll read her book. And we
No,
won't
no,
get
it
to
wasn't her book. It was the
Ars
God
Dea
Killer
Sedium.
book.
Oh, it's her
But,
book copy.
um,
You're right.
Right.
He said I brought your book back. That's why I was confused.
Yeah.
Right.
But did he grab or look at the librarian's book too, right?
No,
you just
because
got the one.
he only wanted to see the librarian's book to get into the poison room.
Right.
Right.
Okay. So there was that. Then what else? Yeah, I think that we're definitely gonna know the other parent or who her father is for Sylvia. I think Penny's gonna be okay, but I want him to get magic back.
Sure.
Do you think Alice goes back to being queen?
No.
Oh, interesting.
No?
I think she's not gonna care as much to be part of that anymore.
Interesting.
I
I think that'll be part of her humanity
she-
training with
It
Mike
could
Hoff.
be, but I feel she wants to be more free, and that's very constraining for her now.
Yeah.
In the whole
I-
world?
I don't want.
Lots of options.
That's true. I don't think she'll be totally ever normal again, but hopefully she'll be a little more social.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's
Yeah.
season finale
We'll see.
next week.
We got one more, y'all.
Right? It's like, okay. Oh my goodness. Okay. Real quick, what other shows are you on, and where can people find you?
You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Miss Adrian Snow, MSADRINSNOW. I'm also on the Unproduced Table Read on Fridays and Doctor Who beginning this Sunday.
Y'all can find me on Monday nights on the Monday Night Raw after show, as well as various forms of social media at Ty Matthews PMA.
I'm Joelle Monique. You can find me all over the internet at Joelle Monique and every week at blackgirlnerds.com. Shows that I do elsewhere. Powerless tomorrow. Riverdale tomorrow. Sunday. Archer. Archer is back, guys, and it's better than ever.
Dreamland.
Check it out.
I was going to say, speaking of Archer, you can watch my interview with the actress who plays Pam Poovey as a spotlight
I
on,
have
which
such
was
a
really
crush
fun.
on Pam. She's so
You should
great.
watch our interview.
I
It was so
will.
good. Then you guys can find me online at Kari D Lane. That's KARIDLANE. I'm also on Sundays at Box Office Breakdown, where we talk about what movies came out over the weekend. Then Expanse tomorrow, which has this finale same week as Magician, so it's like day after. And then the week after that, we'll be starting Handmaid's Tale. And a couple of you mentioned American Gods. I'll be starting soon. I'll be on that as well.
We're both doing
And-
Handmaid's Tales.
And we're
very
doing Handmaid's
excited
Tale.
about it.
I've been reading the book to refresh my memory. Make sure to give the video a thumbs up, 5 stars on iTunes, and we make sure to like, subscribe, and we'll see you next week. Thanks for watching. Bye.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.